talk about there. So, Fierce, you're talking about, distinguishing Steem and Steemit users. And I just want to say, we've learned so much over the last 3 years. And probably in the first 2 years, first year and a half, I really wanted to see things go was towards there being more applications built on Steem, a decentralization of use of the blockchain Steem. And I think that over time, I'm coming to realize that, having that one flagship app that just has to be, it has to be valued more and more. So, I'm not sure that any blockchain is going to appear and spawn thousands and thousands of successful applications. Having one that really paves the way can really make all the difference. So, we've learned things over the years, and people want more from Steemit.com. I want more from Steemit.com. I wrote here in the chat about the vision, my vision for a vibrant communities web app. I see communities, kind of the way you use Reddit subreddits. I see those communities, if we could have them on Steemit, as a real tool for giving people a place to exercise their efforts and talents and be more clearly rewarded for it. They can be community builders, can easily track how many people come to their community, use their community. If we can also give them great tools like tokens, such as what we've described in the Smart Media Tokens white paper, for doing things like ICOs, for setting the coins to sort of autonomously reward people for certain actions, I think we would see an absolute explosion in use of this website. I want to get there. So, one of the things that I can do best is sort of provide my vision and tell you guys that that's what I'm working towards here. You guys continue to point out there's other things that we can do. I agree with you on that too. That's why I'm here listening. I've gotten a lot of great insights and feedback. I could just kind of sit here and talk all night. So
let's do it, man. We haven't talked for like a year, man. You've been so busy, and so have I. Let's talk all night long. I mean, let's do it for these people.
Having open dialogue where it's not structured just between you and Androrky, but is an open town hall forum for people to go raise whatever question they have, I think is critical. And in most of these things, Ned, the thing that I think you do best is have a technological vision. That I actually think you do pretty well, if not exceptionally well. The challenge I find is oftentimes in communication, execution, and I think some of the ways that you haven't interacted with the community in good times or in bad times leaves it so that you don't quite understand like the day-to-day concerns of the user, and I think to me, putting in some search features, this has been done 8 million times. Yelp, AOL, Google, AltaVista, DuckDuckGo, like Reddit, being able to search for any of these, search for the content you want is important, and that's been a request since I've been here. But when there's a mismatch between what your daily users are looking for and the sort of vision of where you're headed, there gets to be anger, frustration, people leaving, and some of that feels like it's gone in the wrong direction for sure.
No doubt, and it's one of the biggest challenges of the ecosystem is people get invested in the interface. They get invested in other places of the ecosystem, and then the economics, their incentives are such that and it's not just based on like their monetary incentives, but like their emotional incentives and whatever. They need to express themselves. They need to ask for things, and that's better for everybody. And it's tough and I could sit here all night and kind of describe to you some of the challenges with developing condenser on steemit.com. And I don't think anyone, I mean, some people would appreciate that. And I could tell you about the challenges of the way condenser is built today. I could talk to you about how it is all so much better under a fully HiveMind backed condenser. And I would rather do that. But just take search, for instance. Search is a lot easier to do something like HiveMind. It's even easier to do if all that data is in a true off-chain database, like a standard web app database of the last 2 decades. So I know that search has been done a number of times. People are doing it better than you might see it on steemit.com. So, I'm not trying to say that there's a lot of other things this company has done too. I mean, anyway, I could sit here and make excuses all night. The best thing I can do is sit here and talk about vision, technical vision, whatever vision of the future. I truly believe in a future of cryptocurrency where cryptocurrency is giving us all greater opportunity, giving us all greater freedom. And I believe we can get it there so much better and faster with tools like communities in applications and tools like tokens that support.
What do you need from us so we can help you get there, Ned?
Great question. I can't do justice the appreciation I have just for having people here and being supportive. Emotions and things like that. Even if they're strong, in the color spectrum, if they're red emotions, it still means a lot to me. I appreciate it, and so I hear the voices. Maybe we're not always great at acknowledging it, but I hear and see most everything, and I appreciate it. So please keep talking.
Yeah, I learned from Steem Monsters that if people are complaining, it means that they are invested, care, and feel threatened in some way. It's when they stop complaining and just leave that they're done. So, if you can address concerns, and these concerns I think are largely around communication, openness, transparency, hitting deliverables, communicating about hitting or missing deliverables. I think, I've been a top 20 witness for a while now. And in the conversations I've had, people have not been saying to me, I've seen one post, maybe 2 opinions where somebody's like, SMTs are stupid as fuck. Why are we doing it? And nearly everybody else that I've spoken to in a year think this is a great idea. So again, I don't want to harp on your vision. I think your technical vision of where this thing ought to be is great. But then I think, I think you would make like an amazing chief product officer, and yet the responsibilities of being CEO include communication and like bringing users, making users feel part of something rather than excluded into something. And I think those are the things. It isn't your product qualifications that I want to negatively harp on. It's the communication, the business part, the marketing part. Like those things are missing. And it's
Hey man, Agroed, can I break in here and say, Ned is a visionary. He's not marketing. He's not even CEO, man. He's a visionary. CEO is beneath him. He should have a CEO that worked for him as a CEO, and so that he could do his visions, man. Well, you know how few visionaries there are in this world?
I actually think that that's fair to some extent, and that's part of what I want to see happen is taking, Ned, you got some great strengths and you have some severe weaknesses. Let's take the things that are your weaknesses off your plate, put those towards a community, and get things like business development, marketing, user retention, like changes to curation. You know, like you seem like you could give a shit less about curation, but there's like tons of people on this platform that really care about it and really think that it drives growth and brings people to steemit.com. Like I think there are ways to take some of these things that frankly I think you feel burdened by and take them and bring them to the community where they can thrive and be driven by like thousands of people that actually love this shit. And that way you can focus on what is ultimately your baby and your love, which is, you know, building the best fucking blockchain that you can with like the coolest features to help expand this place. That um, that's where that's part of where I'm trying to get to of how do we take things as a community off your plate and have them thrive so that you can focus on the pieces that um, that you're taking on and that this community can offload the other pieces and help have it happen.
Yeah, and I'm working on different things inside Steemit to make that all work out. You know, in a lot of ways, I don't disagree with you guys. You know, there's a lot of stuff that obviously has happened behind the scenes here, and you know, I can't all of it right now simply because it's impossible. But in the video podcasts and all that, I really enjoyed doing that. But you know, it's also a challenge. It's definitely a different exercise than you know I probably can do right now, that type of thing. So you can't do everything. There's a lot of learning going on. I appreciate you guys being here. You know, please keep giving me and us your voice.
Well, how do we make it so that if you're not if you're not comfortable going out there and having those conversations or you can't prioritize that, that doesn't stop the need for that on the chain, and it doesn't stop the need for having kind of spokespeople to go share news about us and have it come from what somebody else might feel like is somebody outside of the Steem community might look at and say that's kind of an official voice over here. That's somebody that can speak for this community. And if it's not you, I'm not even sure that it has to be. I mean, I think sticking the economic phrase here is do what you do best and trade for the rest. You know, you don't have to be amazing at everything, you know, but I think if we can crowdsource, especially some of the business and communications pieces of what's going on and kind of open up the development process a little bit more, we can start getting faster development, better communication, see people excited, not fudding and afraid and having no idea what's going on, but feeling clued in, feeling included, feeling like they actually do own a piece of this place, not steam it.
So
But
let me give you an example. Let me give you an example where I'd love to be right now. So picture a future. Steemit.com has communities, has tokens. We're in here on Discord, and someone says, "Guys, we really need a gardening community. There's no one out there doing that stuff." And you take all the interested people who are tuned in on Sunday night, taking their free and spare time to be here, to be ready to participate. And just by putting that carrot in front of us, someone's going to pick that up. Someone's going to take charge with that idea and turn it into something. To be there. Right now, I feel like there aren't sufficient tools for that right now. I want to finish building these tools that are burned into my head right now. So that is my goal right now.
So
that's what I'm working on.
So let's talk about communication then, because if that's the goal, that is different than what the post was maybe a month ago that I linked earlier. Maybe somebody can find it again from Steem It blog, where you talk about here's the things that we're working on. We are working on RocksDB and I can't remember if SMT Lite is on there, but here's our timeline, which was essentially 4 months that would bring us into March or May to say this is when RocksDB will be completed. And now you're here and you're talking about HiveMind. And it's not that HiveMind is bad. I'm excited for HiveMind. I think that
I think Highline was mentioned back then. It's a huge cost savings structure for all of Steemit.com, as well as it potentially supports all of communities as a concept. So, back in that video and those posts, I'm pretty sure it's written in some of those documents somewhere. So, yeah.
So there's a timeline in there, and this if it's meant to be in there or if it's not meant to be in there, like I think either way it helps to have that communication, because I think if you could go explain it in the same way that you just did now, but let's go back a month ago to when that's out, and now at that let's pretend that this conversation is happening a month ago. It's not, where is this thing? Why is it here? Why isn't it working? Where are the changes? Where's the roadmap? Is this on the roadmap or not? Like, it goes from a discussion of what the fuck is going on to a discussion of, okay, thank you for communicating. Thanks for sharing that. Are there ways, like Fürstikin said, are there ways that the community can get involved? Are there ways that people can sit down with your developers to go flesh some of that out? Right now, that feels like a really closed development process. And the example that I keep thinking of is like, if you guys had been able to have like an open Zoom call or an open Discord call here, Steam Speak, or in Steam Devs, or wherever you chose, if you could open that to the public, it is my presumption that we would have had a higher chance of having a smooth landing for the last hard fork rather than as rough as a one as we did. And I don't think
that would work in the way that you could just join in and say, hey, I need 3 C++ developers for a month, and you just get them, and they would know Steam in and out already.
Yeah, that would be a learning process wow, this is really tough. So, we've tried things like that before. I mean,
it takes time to make it, but,
But, there's a cost. You're totally right, there's a cost. But there's also a cost when the hard fork doesn't go as planned. So, I think what I would argue here is that the being so closed, I'm not saying, look, spend 8 hours on a Zoom call 5 days a week and that's going to be your work day. I mean something like take an hour outside of every week where the developers have an open communication, and maybe they're going to field some condenser questions, but maybe they'll actually get some positive feedback from C++ developers that could write small pieces of code. And then as that develops over time, they're writing bigger chunks and saving you money and feeling like they're integrated, and maybe they're getting supported by Utopian, and shit comes together and it happens faster than it would just with one centralized repository, where only like the handful of Steemit devs really seem to have exclusive ownership over that.
So Transistor says Steemit confusion is killing us all. Ned, you've gone 180 degrees 3 times less than a year working on Steemit. Have a web dev team 1 year ago working on SMT, phasing out Steemit, focusing on Steemit.com, now working with blah, 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 blah. So one, we never really said we're Steemit.com. I guess we did say it was in maintenance mode, but that's changed. I mean, the company's changed a lot. We had those layoffs. We're bringing it back, simplifying, getting back to a clear mission and vision, of which I have a document that I've been trying to finish. Spent the weekend trying to finish it since things got a little spicy, and so I'm trying to put that out this week.
I have an idea. I have a very simple idea. Forum.steemit.com, a place where we can talk about changes on steemit.com exclusively, right?
That would be another great use case for Token BB, and that's Crypto Drive, that's Reggae Muffin, and
make it happen.
I think that we're working on a Steem implementation, or a Steem Monsters was going to be the first test case, but we could do that for Steem pretty instantly too. But that
it is Busy.org. They have a busy forum or a busy community that talks about busy.org or .com or whatever it is that they use. And eSteam. I love eSteam. I use it all the time. I love signing offline and not using Chrome and all of that. I love eSteam, and I don't need to see any of Ned's advertisement on eSteam too, which is awesome. But
I want to just add in one thing, and then I'll let you, great minds, speak some more. But what I keep hearing here, and I'm a bit of a moderator by birth, we'll say, is that I feel like Ned, very much as you say, he has goals and he has visions and he has things he wants to do. And this communication is not something that he's good at and not something that he should be doing. So, for the love of God, hire a community rep or get somebody from the community to help you, because it's a simple communication. It doesn't mean you have to be here in Discord for hours. It does not mean that you have to be taking constant criticism. Do what?
It's demand. He needs to supply the demand for Ned.
It's just something to take, hey, these are the things we're working on, and hey, these are the things we're doing, and just keep that communication open, because the public wants it. That doesn't mean Ned should be responsible for it. And I guess that's what I wanted to jump in to say, that doesn't have to be on your plate. I get you guys have had a tough time, and I get as a human being that's tough. And I get as individuals who are just sitting here yelling at you, it's really not helpful. But there has to be something in the middle. You have goals. Yeah, the hostility and the negative environment does not flourish good conversation, but there has to be someone communicating. So please,
But first,
if it's not you, someone else.
First, we need to write a song to get this behind us so we can move forward.
So one of the things that so Minnow Support's been around for a year, and we have weekly meetings, and when we do those meetings, we have here's our Trello board of all the things that we need to talk about, the groups that we have to go through, and then at the end of that, we have like a session to air grievances, to like share frustrations or whatever else. And what ended up happening was that at the very beginning, we didn't do that second part. We would have business meetings, but then people would get like in each other's faces, and it was a little rough. And then we started having kind of a second meeting afterwards, where it's just, let's talk about the personal dynamics of this. The first 3 or 4 of those were pretty rough, and then after that they've gone down. Most of the meetings don't include anything, and every now and then there's like 5 to 15 minutes of it. I think when you get an opportunity to sort of air the grievances, it feels a bit like a clusterfuck at the very first time, maybe the second time or third time. But then after that, when most of the grievances have been aired, it feels like they've been acknowledged, and some sort of consensus plan moves forward of, we feel listened to, we feel we feel like there's communication, we feel like things are changing, then shit calms way down. So my hope would be that Ned, you can put together forums, or you can join Fierstekin or join me, or do this. Like, I would hope that
we can do more than that, Agroed. We can actually get it done. If we just know exactly what it is that people pinpoint wants, hell, I can pay for a programmer for a day to make that happen. I mean, that's not a big deal.
Or to review code, or to do other things. I mean, I think as a community, when we come together, there's a lot that we can do. And when it feels fractured, and at times I feel like you're getting angry, at times I feel like a lot of the witnesses are clearly fucking pissed off. Like that doesn't foster good communication. And if it only happens once every 6 months,
the truth is, Agroed, that most of my persona is just a fabricated synthetic. I'm a professional actor, and everybody thinks I'm some sort of a Viking that throw my Thor hammer at kids with cell phones. That's a commercial that I got paid $5,000 to do. I'm a really happy person, and I'm super social, and I was lucky in Bitcoin. That's why I have a calm heart in the volatility of Steem. But if this was my first run with 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 Miss Fortuna in these ups and downs, I'd probably be a lot more real emotional. But you know, I got 6,000 people that can vouch for that. No, first Ticket isn't emotional during volatility. But the rest of the Steem blockchain's participant may be. That's why I'm thinking that in 3 more years from now, we're going to go through the same type of volatility, except you all are going to have been richer in money and in knowledge and in wisdom by that time. So, you've been on the roller coaster one time too many by then, so you don't really care if the price is 24 cents or $24, because you're gonna grow up in this neighborhood, and Wall Street is a neighborhood, isn't it? Steem is a blockchain, but it feels more like a huge globalist republic without borders. That's what it feels like.
So I hear that, and on the opposite side, I also see the concern of Steam and Inc. is powering down. I don't know your exact amount, and I don't mean the most recent one out of that was in response to Johan's pull request, but in general, going back a month and for a while, it seems that you guys have been powering down pretty substantially. I think it's 800,000 Steem per month. I don't know the exact number, but all that Steem, it hits the market.
That's just $250,000, $300,000 at today's market cap. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
can gobble that up every week
the market's
alone.
thin, and so
I know. I mean, I know, and that is actually not a good thing for you guys if you're not accumulating, because right now you could get a Bernie Sanders from hell that buys in. You should be buying up everything that is.
Some people would argue we already have a Bernie Sanders from hell.
Oh no, he's not from hell. He's from Earth. I mean, you don't need to be dead to be in hell, But I mean, seriously, if you think that you have met the worst people on the internet on Steam, I can assure you, I have met worse people on the internet, and they are in Bitcoin and Ethereum and are so loaded with cash that it wouldn't take them much to buy up a stake that is 8, 10 times larger than mine. If they can get the hands of the coin, I mean, the order book is luckily thin upwards as well. Happily,
Yeah, I guess the point that I'm bringing up is that, there's concern with the amount of burn and the value that we're getting from it, and so I'm trying to. I'm trying again. I want to try to air some grievances while Ned, you're part of this discussion, and give you a chance to
get it out, friend. Get it out.
Yeah, get it out. Get some of this shit out of here. And how do you? What do you say? Because this isn't just like random people. I'm hearing it somewhat frequently from top 20 witnesses of like, what are we getting for the 800,000 Steem that's being powered down every month? It's killing our value. It basically feels like adding inflation to this whole thing, just in terms of how the price and the value of our holdings keeps going down. Ned, what's your response to that? How do you justify it? How do you tell an investor, and especially one that's as invested as a top 20 witness, like, look, dude, I got this. How do you finish that?
Well, I can first just say that that's a programmatic selling regiment, and it only covers a part of our monthly expenses right now. And so what that means is we're investing cash into the business to keep Steemit.com going, to keep the Steem development going, to keep doing anything else that the company is doing.
I mean, that's even more alarming, because it might mean that burn has to increase. Like if the cash is gone, then it switches over to a higher Steem burn. it feels like a runway that it has a finite timeline. Like, but even that, like I recognize it is what I tried to share is something to the extent of I know that I'm not talking about today's or yesterday's sort of power down. I do know I am trying to talk about the regimented one that's been going on for a while. I'm trying to talk about the return on that. Like why does the community want that? Why explain to me why it makes sense to do it to the extent that you're doing? Why should we not? Why should an investor not be pissed that you're selling 800,000 Steem I think it's every month, but why?
So Agrid, I had a proposal from you. You wanted me to donate all of Steemit's assets to some foundation. You and a group of people would run it. What would you say to them? How would you fund that? You would have to do the same thing.
Well, one question would be: has it been done efficiently? I mean, so what's the yearly burn? The yearly burn is $2 million on nodes and hardware to run Steemit.com and like the hardware itself. Is that accurate or no?
It had been our run rate. We're getting it down. I'll look forward to publishing some lower numbers as soon as that's more concrete. The idea is with HiveMind and RocksDB getting finished, it can go way down, which means it would change the equation basically.
And hopefully something like that would make it so that we're not seeing an 800,000 Steem burn every month.
No, stop burning. Sell it to me. Come on.
Fair enough. But yeah, if only it was a burn as opposed to a sale.
I mean, you guys don't understand. I am not fat enough in Steem, okay? I still have 100 bitcoins in the buy walls between Bittrex, Poloniex, and Binance that hasn't been filled yet. And you guys are talking all the time about let's burn more Steem. Investors are not interested. I'm so interested in getting more Steem, you guys. Stop burning them. Sell them to me.
Yeah, I used burn incorrectly. I apologize for that. But yeah, so again, most recently taking a look at RocksDB, especially in a bear market, I'm not going to look at you and say, hey, Ned, that's a bad decision. I think that the question is how come it's been like that for 3 years, and it's been...
Here's the thing. I designed the system to come together like this. Like nothing, as it is different from what I expected. We designed it. I said, guys, we need to have this stake. We're going to divvy it up this way. We're going to launch it, and we launched it. That's how it went down. Like, nothing's changed here. So, we can reevaluate, but be clear that there's been no departure really.
Well, I think some of that is the frustration that like you've had your plan that you have stuck to that has been different than what a lot of the community has wanted, and I think
they joined, and my plan was always there, and let's get to the bottom of this.
So it's hard not to say that some of that is fair, and I'll acknowledge some of that is fair. But you also have a responsibility to the user base to listen to the feedback and the needs that they've expressed for a long time here, and sometimes it feels like you are sort of addressing it, but it doesn't quite. It doesn't quite connect, in part because you're not talking directly to them. I mean, if the conversation is, hey, look, guys, I know you really want a search bar that's going to be part of Steemit.com. Right now, if we do it, it's a waste of money because we're going to have to reprogram it in 6 months when we release HiveMind, and it would operate totally differently. That might actually squelch some concerns and make it feel less like you are having zero conversation with the audience and your user base, and more like, hey, look, I hear it. I'm trying to get there. here's the process by which we're doing it, and therein lies some of the mismatch. And maybe you are working on these things, but again, it comes back to like, where's the communication, especially from you directly to the community members that are part of this, when it feels like there's none, or when you literally like skip out on it, you say, hey, I will talk to you guys. It's not quite talk with you guys, but I will talk to you guys. Here's the time that I'm going to be there, and then you skip out like that. That's some of this
That was an
challenge.
issue. I apologize for that. I apologize. I got pretty sick at the end of last year, and I had to take time, and communication broke down. I apologize for that.
And um, I don't want, I hope that doesn't become the pattern. I hope that every now and then I see these glimmers where it's like, okay, Ned's communicating with some of the witnesses. Okay, Ned's on in PalNet having a conversation with a live audience. Like, every now and then I get this glimpse of, okay, you could actually do this. You can actually carve out some time. I guess what concerns me somewhat is that we're at the like, what brought this about was, some community member pulls a hard fork that says we're gonna fucking fork out Steem at stake, and that's what facilitates this
25
conversation.
days after I wrote a little article about it, yeah. And nobody wrote any comments on it. You were all looking at it, man. It was the most looked at article on the whole Steem blockchain 30 days ago when I wrote about somebody's gonna do that. Where is the view counter, huh? Where is the justice? I'm writing the future here. 25 days later, somebody's actually trying to fork Steem Inc. out of their share. I mean, over my dead body if that's gonna happen.
But hopefully, I mean, we can. I don't think it gets to that point where people or former employees are even writing things like that or coding things like that, if there's some kind of communication. So I guess what kind of breaks my heart is that at times it seems like you are capable of doing this, and then at other times, it like literally somebody has to write a code that says you're going to lose 70 million Steem before you would bring yourself to go talk to community members, whether it's me or Fierstekin or anybody else.
But what we just talked about earlier, where it's like, okay, we need to establish somebody doing more of the regular comms. Ned, you need to sit at a higher vision standpoint. You need to be speaking from that space. That's what we need to get to. That's what I'm working towards getting to. This week I'm getting ready to publish the mission, vision, values document. I want to give you guys. I think there's been a lot of good insight, even just from tonight. There's a lot more we can do together. Discord's actually a fantastic platform for doing some of it. So let's figure out how to do more of it.
Yeah, Slack only makes people lazy.
So I've been hosting the top 20 witness chat for maybe 8 months. I think I've asked you to go beyond that from the beginning. I would put that out as one place where you could join. Hopefully going forward, I welcome Anjarki too. I know a lot of people are frustrated with him, but I actually think the world of him. If we could get your input there where you are, like here's a set time where you're actually going to go talk to the top 20 witnesses, and the focus might still be on the top 20 witnesses, but at least it's a public.
I would rather do a space like this. Honestly, this is a space of greater abundance than
Totally.
Then I would welcome that, and whether it rotates between here and Steam Speak or however you would choose to do that. I would rearrange as much as my time schedule, as much of the MSP-waves as we can to go find some common ground where I'm trying to I'm trying to ask some intense questions. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm trying to further this conversation so that we can have it openly and then hopefully collectively move past it. And if that can continue to happen, hopefully the tough questions can sort of subside, because if we're addressing them and people have the opportunity to ask them, then it's like that for a little bit, and then it can get back to, okay, here's the work that we're doing. To Fierstekin's question, here's how you can help, or here's how the community can help, and if we can break that fourth wall, I'd love nothing more. So if it's not a top 20 witness forum, it's a town hall. Hopefully we can start scheduling these somewhat regularly in here in Steam Speak and whatever medium makes the most sense. But I think this community needs this level of communication from you, like eye to eye, ground to ground, in the same communities in which we all actually operate. It would be lovely to have you become sort of like a
Become one of the guys, Ned.
Yeah.
A regular, because that's how I see you after all this time. You're all co-owners of the same blockchains, Ned. You're
I
always
will say
welcome.
that the witness forums, just to clarify, is there's top 20 witnesses on there, but there's also backup. And I just mentioned this because as a total noob, I was a new user who showed up here, never hearing of crypto, and showed up at a witness forum and learned a ton. So it's not just the top 20 talking, it's a few of the top 20 with some backup witnesses discussing things with the community. So just to clarify, it's not a closed room talk. They're very beneficial and they have a huge audience. There's multiple forums. I'm sure Steem Speak would set up a forum. If you guys want to do your own Discord, people could help with that. I think these are amazing.
We've been doing Ned talks since Ned was born.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there a time frame that you could commit to, like once every week, once every fortnight, once every month? Is there a time that makes the most sense?
Whenever it feels like it. Isn't that cool?
Well, no, because I think Ned gets busy and Ned doesn't often prioritize this. And then I think that's what leads to the pent-up anger and the pent-up frustration and people feeling like they're out of the loop. I mean,
I'll tell you a secret, Ned. Discord and not TeamSpeak server is the two things that makes me run all my companies and affairs. Being available keeps me without new things to do, because people that works for me, they respect me and do their task and just report when it's done, and I give them gratitude, but I'm almost ashamed to say that I kind of feel like unemployed sometimes, because this medium, Discord and TeamSpeak, when used correctly, whether it is running companies or running World of Warcraft raids, that's super important.
It's powerful. You can tell, and I think it's got a more natural feeling to it than Slack. I need to become more familiar about it. We have good security control over Slack. Slack is good in that sense. Know the controls that can be applied over Discord. So I don't know if anyone wants to give me a download on that, but that would actually be helpful. I'd love to use it more.
Well, we can
Discord is fine. You can just VPN if you don't like to expose IP, but nobody else but Discord can see your IP. No of the moderator, admins, or server owners can see IP.
And you can do things like private channels. You can have private conversations, which sometimes do get published by people that aren't always honest. But you can have rooms where one of the things that I think would be the most helpful is having rooms where certain people can speak, but the entire community can read. And that way you don't have to open up a conversation to everybody, but you can let people see what's happening. And I think that might sound kind of dickish or exclusive, and sometimes I think it makes the most sense, like this town forum, to have everybody just be involved. But at the other time, sometimes you have like a committee or a working group, and those are the people that are really invested and have stake. But if you can make things like that public and open, then you can actually get the combination of the work done that has to be done without a lot of distractions, but also have it public enough so that people can see it, read it, and know that shit is happening and progressing at like a human level, that otherwise, without any access, which is often the case around communication from Steemit right now, I feel like it just leads to a lot of FUD, frustration, and anger, which is preventable if you in particular, or somebody that you proxy that responsibility of like company spokesperson to, can be in here frequently, or it doesn't even need to be all that frequent. I think there just needs to be a regular schedule where you say, okay, Wednesday at 4 p.m. this is when we rotate through different discords, or this is the time that it's broadcast on msp-waves or whatever it is, and we can have the like Steemit Townhall, and have that be like a regular thing that people can tune into, voice their concerns, hear from the company, and hopefully you guys choose to act on it and choose to make different plans, not just Ned sticking to your one vision, but listening to what the state of the actual users are and saying, you know what, I can listen to that, and you know, I don't think a single user here would tell you, you know what you should do? You should sunset Steemit. I guess maybe I've listened to one or two witnesses say that, but I think it's because they've been so frustrated with the progress or lack thereof. Whereas if it's actually something under development and we can go push that forward and make it the flagship app, not just of Steemit, but of the entire fucking cryptoverse, that would be super powerful. And I think I think that we can get a lot of the anger and the voices out of this by just having you or an appointed person that can speak on the behalf of Steemit as like as a decision maker, or like an executive authority that can listen to your entire multi-thousand person audience and try to address their concerns. And I know that might suck and it might be inconvenient, and some of that is going to be nasty and some of that's going to be useless, but I also think some of that is going to be lead to foundational change, and some of that will be extraordinarily helpful. And at the very least, we'll go from feeling like Steemit is this completely alienated entity that owns 25% of the blockchain, to feeling like not only are you and your company an integral part of it, but like the way that both teams cooperate is an integral part to running and expanding this blockchain. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Those are great points. And it's something that I believe in. It's something that we believe in. It's the same reasons we set up all the video that we did just a handful of times. Clearly we can see the benefit from, greater communication. So, as far as Discord goes, say is that absolutely I'll be bringing it up with the people in the company that I need to talk to about it tomorrow. And I think it's a great idea. And, we'll try to move into testing phase with it.
That sounds phenomenal. Let me know how I can help. I can't emphasize enough. What I want is for Steemit and Steem to be successful. This is my home.
All right.
This is what I want to see expand. You are a critical component of that, and having this discussion is a critical piece of it. So, thank you for talking about that. Even when you lead a group, you got to go talk to your crew and figure out a plan and figure out what makes sense. So for the people that might be impatient enough to say, what the fuck, Ned, give us an answer now and decide everything right this second, I'd say calm your tits. That's not how business decisions are made. But that's great. That sounds like a wonderful starting point to try to facilitate more frequent and better communication between the community that you're trying to serve, the technology you're trying to serve, and the like wants and needs of people. So
that's a good note to probably call it for the night.
That's what I'm thinking.
Glad to see everybody here, and we'll try to do it again soon.
That sounds awesome. Ned, thank you for joining us on the Middlemayor Town Hall. Thank you for, I know that you're a passionate advocate for this place. I do appreciate that, and I'm hoping that we can make improvements and figure out ways to get community-driven things. And I think it starts with open communication. Thank you for being willing to entertain it there and starting there, and I look forward to seeing where it goes. So thank you, Ned. All right. Well, I think we're gonna call it for a night, folks. It's 11:15. The show's gone about an hour and 15 minutes over. I feel like it's been a healthy discussion. To the people that think I've been a dick to Ned, I tried not to be. To the people that think I wasn't a big enough dick to Ned, I'm trying to find a balance of holding people accountable,
See,
but doing
I
it
read
progressively.
that's the beautiful thing, Nobody needs to be a dick to Ned. He's not a dick to anybody.
I agree with that.
Let's treat him the same with the same respect as he has always treated us, and move forward and make Steem great.
Yeah. And I think it's possible. I think it can be done. I really believe in this community. I have a massive affection for so many folks that are here, and like I said, it's my home. So I will continue to dedicate and rededicate my time and my existence to making this the fucking best spot.
And I'm gonna participate every time it's possible to pump Steem to make sure that you get rich again, Agred.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you've been listening to msp-waves radio. This has been the Middlemayor Town Hall, or the Steem Town Hall, and maybe we'll figure out how to turn this also into the Steem at Town Hall, and have some good discussions here. And thank you for attending. You're all lovely people, and I'll see you at the next show. Thanks so much, guys.